Alright, so we're all here. We're all fuck, I almost said we're all vibing. No, it was an awful start.
This podcast is not a vibe.
Speaking of this podcast, welcome back to the Hooligans Podcast. I wasn't here last week, so I don't really know what's going on at all. But you know, it's Friday. I'm chilling. How was everyone's week? How are y'all doing?
Boo.
Answer me.
Oh yeah, no.
I don't know. I work retail, dude. What do you want me to say?
I mean, your job's probably a little more interesting than anybody else's right now because you're actually not
interesting. At home. Does not mean good.
Dangerous, maybe.
Yeah.
My life is constantly in danger.
I got the day off today.
That's cool. I also got the day off today.
Hey.
Wow.
I didn't.
Was there a reason you had the day off, or just cause?
Well, I didn't put in PTO, but and most of my team did take PTO so that they had long weekends, and I was just kind of taking care of minor stuff. And then my manager called me and was like, "Hey, our boss said that just stay on call for the rest of the day, but just enjoy it and do whatever you want." And then I hang up the phone with him, and then I get a Skype message from someone else saying, "Hey, I need you to do something."
No.
And I was like, "Oh my God." And I actually, for a second, I thought that it was going to take me the rest of the day, but luckily it took 5 minutes. So
No.
Nice.
Easy money.
Easy money.
Yeah.
Well, the rest of it's just been fucking taking phone calls, all that bullshit. So, nothing crazy or new with us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Oh, did y'all talk about that last week? All that fun stuff.
Last week we talked a
Tell me
lot
to
about
listen to last week's episode.
customer. Yeah,
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Jason has come back to life. For those who didn't know, he died.
Oh yeah,
He came back to life this week.
Logan said you and Jared died, and I told him that he can't say something like that right now because, what if it was true?
And then, what if I am dead? What if I pre-recorded this episode?
What if we're all dead? What if we're living in a matrix in a simulation?
Take the red pill, bro.
wow.
Don't wear
What
masks.
makes you say that, Tyler?
Let me tell you.
Dude.
Did I do it right? Did I naturally transition, or did I do it wrong?
No.
Good.
By
I
bringing
thought so.
attention to
Because we're
it.
still not talking about it.
No, I know. I'm just messing.
What are we
What
still
else?
not talking about? Oh, never mind. Sorry.
Steve,
I was gonna
Homework.
naturally
The
transition.
Hooligans homework.
That was supposed to be a natural transition.
Yeah, I
Good
just
one,
said it,
good
but
one.
then you ruined it.
No, never mind. Whatever. It's
I'm
fine.
leaving all that in. All that's staying in. Steven, go ahead.
The homework. If you listen to the last episode, you know, at the end there we left off saying we're gonna all read, except for Jason, 17776 by Jon Bois as our homework for the week. It is a multimedia novel, sci-fi novel. Takes place 15,000 years in the future. Involves some sentient.
Well, they all know that. They know that. They know that, Steven,
that.
because they read it. So we're not gonna introduce it.
It's not a bad idea to
Wait.
It's
No,
not a
I
bad
know.
idea to do stuff like that.
I'm just kidding. Jason doesn't know that.
I didn't study.
It takes 15,000 years in the future. They watch football, and just how the world has evolved and changed since then, and it focuses on Nine, who just woke up after 15,000 years of being asleep. So, I brought this novel as homework because I loved it when I first read it. Jon Bois is one of my favorite content creators around sports, and that's what this book kind of tricks you into thinking it is. Just they're just going to talk about sports, but I really like them using that as a way to talk about something a little bit deeper, and I just kind of wanted to get y'all's like, I guess, just initial impressions on like what you thought of the novel and like what you took away from it.
Thanks for the existential crisis.
Yeah.
No problem, buddy.
Oh
For
man,
real.
I loved it.
Dude.
It's probably my favorite existential crisis I've had in a while. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Juice.
Yeah, Jesus is great.
Juice is really cool. I don't know. I really liked all the characters, and like it's hard to say like what I took away from it, because like I feel like each chapter had its own thing to kind of take away, and it's like you said, it like tricks you because it's about, quote unquote, about football, but then it's really about like mortality and like our place on the earth, and then it like
Living your life to the fullest.
yeah, exactly, and like how we like go about our daily lives and stuff like that. It's really, I don't know, I don't know what I was expecting, but that definitely wasn't it.
No, me neither. Especially because like I have seen a lot of the other stuff that Jon Bois has done, mainly from Steven just be like, yo, check out this video. Like he did like a whole, what was it, like a 6-part series about the Seattle Mariners. And so from watching that, then going over to this, you know, I wasn't really expecting it to be as little about sports as it was. Because, I mean, mainly everything he does is sports related, but it normally has like an overarching theme to it. Of just sort of like, with the Mariners documentary, it was sort of like, you know, not necessarily watching the sports because they win, but watching the sport because it's like something that you can all get behind, and watching it for the, you know, just love of the sport in general. But then this was just sort of like, all right, here's this thing. It's going to make you feel weird. Okay, have fun. So it was a lot different than I was expecting it to be, but very good.
Oh, hell yeah. Jose, was there anything you wanted to add? 'Cause we kind of watched or read the end part of it all together, you, me, and Logan. Was that last night, 2 nights ago? Mm-hmm. Was there anything that you kind of like took away from that?
No, not at all. Nah, I mean, much like how everyone else has said, I didn't know what to expect. I know you are a huge fan of sports, and I know you know that I'm not a big fan of sports. So whenever I heard that it was sports related, I was already kind of going into it like, okay, well, we'll see how this turns out. But I definitely enjoyed it. You know, it's definitely not just about football. I think it's really good. I think it's really interesting. I think it, you know, goes into a lot of themes that, you know, definitely pique my interest. I think it really grabbed me just straight from the get-go. I had no idea that it was about fucking satellites and shit. And I was like, oh shit, is this like a fucking thriller? Like, what the fuck is going on? And then, like, I was just, like, scrolling, because you know how it starts. It's just, like, you know, just calendars. And I'm
Endless
just, like...
scrolling.
Yeah, endless scrolling. I was, like, scrolling, and I was just like, I hope this is the entire thing. It's just me just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And then I got the gist of it. I was just like, oh, this is really cool. And I don't want to, like, say too much right now, but... it was definitely really interesting. It definitely stuck by me. It's definitely... I don't do a whole lot of reading, so I feel like it's unfair to say this is the most interesting thing that I've read in a long time, because this is the only thing that I've read in a long time. So it takes that by default. But
I mean, you have to read on Twitter.
that's true. I don't really count that, though. Does anyone count tweets?
No.
This one tweet I read was my favorite piece of literature.
Yeah, the We Them Boys tweet is the best piece of literature I've read this decade. But it was a really good read. Definitely something that I would not have willingly read, but something that I'm definitely glad I read.
Yeah, and I really like that you brought up the whole like calendar scrolling thing, because I feel like that kind of... I mean, obviously you did that intentionally just to like really just showcase like how much fucking time just like him waking up was, and that people on Earth have been, just sitting through time like that for thousands of years. Just really like cementing how just like painstakingly like dragged on everyone's life has become, and how they're just kind of, I mean, they don't seem like upset or like too like tortured by it, but it's just like it's just really like the idea of like immortality, and it's just so far off from what we can even like comprehend, because like our like what 80-year lives seem long as shit to us. We've only been alive for like 20 something, and just that whole concept is just so hard to wrap your brain around, and I really liked how he did that kind of at the forefront to make you realize that.
For sure. And I think, to me at least, like the thing that I was most impressed about is, how someone could come up with this idea, because I don't know, at least to me, I haven't read or seen a whole lot of stuff like this. Like, sure, there's like sci-fi movies and stuff like that, and that's all fine, but like this world specifically is so unique. And like it's not just the idea of it being so far into the future, because that's definitely been done before, but like the fact that it's so far into the future, the fact that the characters that initiate the story aren't even human beings, the fact that immortality exists, and that one of the main points of discussion is football. It's such an odd combination of things, and you wouldn't think that it would work, but it makes it all the more interesting to me.
And I had something I just now like kind of thought of, I guess, when you're talking about it being like a unique type of story, is like there's really no like visible like enemy like in this story. Like there's no, like there's like a plot to it. It's like Nine kind of like realizing all this shit about life and mortality and all that, but like I guess their own like immortality is kind of like the villain in this story, because it's like everyone on Earth is like chilling, they're fine, like there's no war or disease or death or like whatever, like everything is just, they're all just bored and having a good time playing football. It's just their own lives are just are what they're like battling, their own immortality. And I think that's just a really interesting like thing to be fighting in like your life, because it's like, how are you supposed to beat that? Like how is like how does humanity, how do these people like win against them? Like it's just crazy. I really like the line where it was the no rock unturned dude is talking to the guy in the cave, and they're talking like they're asking if like heaven exists, and if where they are right now is heaven, but then he's like, oh well, if this is heaven, then why am I scared? And then he's like, well, what if heaven is scary? And that just whole conversation, that end of that conversation just fucked me up. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was definitely like one of my favorite lines, and there's some very notable moments in this story for me, but that was definitely like a line that really stuck with me. I think you're right. Like it's really rare that there's not a physical like entity that they're against, because like you're right, usually there's like a good guy and a bad guy. There's a struggle, and then they overcome it, and then everyone's happy, happy resolution. That's like the foundation of storytelling in general. So the fact that this doesn't follow it, I think, is why I really enjoyed it.
Cool. I was gonna say something, but I was like, I didn't actually read it, and I was like, I don't know how much. I just thought, based off everything you're saying, I was like, it's interesting how that's, even though it seems like such a different concept, like the concept of immortality, by the way that y'all are describing it, it sounds like they're struggling with coming to terms with their immortality the same way people struggle with coming to terms with the fact that we're gonna die one day. It's just like the exact same concept, just kind of spun on its head, which is kind of terrifying to think that even the exact opposite of what life is currently would still be just as unknown and scary. So that's interesting. Now I kind of wish I'd read it. Maybe I will read it this week just so that I will have the experience.
Yeah, no, it's I've read it about 3 or 4 times at this point now. I think it's a really good read, even if you don't like, you're like Jose and you just don't give a shit about sports. It's just way more than that, what they talk about.
Hell yeah, fuck sports.
Dude, sports are fucking lame, dude. fucking jock bullshit.
Nerds watching sports. The real Chads play video games.
And I think like another thing that I like about this is not just the story itself, but the format in which it was told.
Oh,
It's really
you
interesting,
started,
too.
bro.
No,
I don't
get
know.
started.
I've never
start.
like seen anything like this. If I'm reading something, it's usually a book or like a story, like a short story, like I'm reading online or something like that. So the fact that, I really like the way that it was like presented to us, just lines of text, color coordinated on either side of the screen, videos that kind of break it up every now and then. I just think this was, I don't know if there's a whole lot of stuff like this. If there is, then I guess I should check it out. But I think this was a really unique and interesting format to present this story in.
Yeah. And the format even like plays into the story thematically at points. Like specifically at the beginning, I was just sort of noticing that, whenever you very first start off with a calendar, I know that whenever I was scrolling, I was very timid about it because I didn't really know what to expect. And I was waiting, like kind of uncertain as to what was going to happen. So I was scrolling very slowly between 9 and 10 talking to each other. But then I noticed that the further the conversation went and the more space between each message, I would be like scrolling a lot faster. So I feel like that formatting is sort of, making it to where we're getting more patient as 9 is getting more patient. And so we're also sort of experiencing time in the same way that 9 is, because we're scrolling faster whenever there's 4 or 5 years of just no text. So I feel like it's sort of putting us in that same world and sort of putting us in 9's situation and sort of like making us empathize a little bit more. So I think that those kind of things definitely couldn't have been done in most other formats. So I think that's really what makes this format special, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Hey, Twilight New Dawn did it first.
Did they?
Or whatever the second book was. I remember there's like 5 pages where it just says one word and it's just the month. Needless to say, I didn't finish that book.
Interesting.
You're telling me you didn't read all of Twilight, every last book?
I
think my
the
mom
best
did.
example when they like incorporated the text, I guess the format correlated with the story was when 10 is explaining kind of like why humanity gave up.
Yeah.
And it's in like the 3 columns, but you like you
Oh,
read
yeah.
through it once and you're like, that didn't make any sense. But then
Yeah.
they give you like
I
the
read that
clue
shit
of
backwards.
look up, or it said something like look up again or something like that, and then you start to read it the other way and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
and it makes sense. And it correlates with whatever 10's saying. That was a cool page.
I liked that page a lot. That and the one with all the advertisements for the van, the Voyager.
Yeah.
Oh,
van.
yeah.
That was
so
so cool. Of just like
That
it was
was-
almost like the calendar where it was like, oh, so much time is passing, but nothing's
Yeah.
changing.
Exactly.
And it's like it goes exactly with what she's talking about. I don't know why. Oh, it's because she calls herself a sister. I was like, I don't know why I think of 10 as a girl, but she refers to herself as a sister. So, but she's like explaining why like progress stopped because like people stopped aging, and it's like, oh, this is still the same generation. Why would they like want to like progress when they're comfortable the way they are? And I'm just like, damn, that's true. Because it's like once they have the nanos, like what else do you need?
Just get those granola bars, man. You're set.
Yeah, bro.
No, the granola bars.
But then there's kind of the juxtaposition of that with which it's not really a juxtaposition, but it's the section where where 9 is talking to the woman
Nancy.
Was it
Nancy?
Nancy? Yeah, and she's telling. I assume that 9. Did 9 ever identify? I'm saying it's a dude.
Yeah, I think that she called him a brother at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. So Nancy's telling him about the neon sign that her grandfather had, and they're kind of talking about like, as much as they've become stagnant, there's also still the desire to kind of regress, both in like, getting the people that didn't reach immortality back, but also just kind of there's still, I think it was something that they didn't really focus on that they could have, but it kind of gets into the quote unquote haunting of memories.
Yeah.
And how that's even more kind of intensified when all you have is time, which means all you have is time to revisit your memories.
Yeah. Also, I just remembered there's like a little one-off comment that Juice makes where he's like, "Are you a dude?" And then 9's like, "I don't know." And then he's like, "Okay, well, if you want to, feel free to subscribe to the gender binary. It's whatever." And like, I really like that because he does it a lot. Jon does it a lot in the story where like he sort of makes these little one-off comments that sort of explain any questions that people would have without like delving too far into them, because like world building is like, in my opinion, world building is good until you start having like supplementary readings to know more about the world. Like I feel like I know enough about this world that I'm content with it and I don't need to know more, just because of the way that everything was explained. And even sometimes how it was just like, yeah, we don't know why this happened. Just don't worry about it. That's okay.
Yeah, stop asking, please.
Yeah.
And then they vomited a lot of kind of like
Over at the
earlier
end.
questions at the end. They'd just be like,
exactly.
hey, which
That's
even
okay,
though
if
a
you're
lot of them were
wondering.
just like, it's the same as this one. Like the answer's
Yeah.
the same as this. We just don't really know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that a lot because I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter why. I think the only thing that matters is that it is. And so, it doesn't take away, it doesn't prevent you from enjoying the story any more than you can,
Right.
Like it doesn't matter why the world is set up this way. You just have to know that it is set up this way and that's it, just set the
Which
rules
is
and that's it.
pretty should be the basis of, any good story for the most part is take it as you go.
Yeah.
Like Tyler was saying, once you have to start
Yeah.
explaining everything, like then it, you get into, I feel like that's when you get into fandom, honestly,
yeah.
where everyone wants it justified because you've set a precedent that there should be justification. Whereas there's literally no room for justification. Like, I don't think that there's a quote unquote mystery that he introduces that isn't answered in some way besides even the root mystery of what happened to stop everyone aging is answered in that we don't know and we will never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Another thing that like they bring up a couple of times is just like the idea of like space travel and like oh, why don't the humans go to space? And well, I think it's in that page that we mentioned earlier where it's like everything's like kind of upside down and you're reading it wrong for a minute. And like that's, I don't know, I not that I'm like super invested or interested in it, but I like really like the idea of like space travel, and like I very often contemplate like life beyond Earth, and just like the way that they're like, yeah, there probably isn't, and I'm just like, or like at least as far as they know, as like as like beings that are literally living in space. And I'm just like, I don't know, because I think about like, oh, you know, there's definitely like possibility for like life to be out there, but then there's also the possibility that there isn't, and that's like also just equally as baffling to me. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I felt the same way when they had the conversation about God, and they were just like, I think it's Juice who kind of goes into it a whole lot deeper.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, everything that's happened thus far is a miracle, but at the end of the day, he's still like, but, you know, maybe, you know, who's to say, who knows? And I was just like, yeah, that's, you know, at least that's more or less how I feel. It's just like, it's hard to believe that there is, and it's hard to believe that there isn't. So at the end of the day, you're kind of just stuck in the middle, and, you know,
one of the little like quick things that he was listing off was about the like Matrix simulation thing. He was just like, he's like, even if we were, there's no way for us to know, so don't even like worry about that. And I'm just like, yeah, that's usually like whenever someone brings up like simulation theory or whatever, I'm just like, I don't want to think about this, because even if it's real, there's no way to know, so I'm just not gonna think about it.
Yeah, and like, would we even be able to change it if we were aware of it too? So, you know, oh well, who cares?
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, this story made me think a lot more than I would have liked to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll give you. I'll bring a Dr. Seuss book next time, so you can just just
something with rhyming colors and pictures would be cool.
This had colors and pictures.
This did have colors and pictures
and videos.
Yeah,
that's true.
What just like, I really, I'm gonna go all liberal arts degree guy here for a second, but I really like just like unique mediums to tell stories in, and like just unique ways to like present things that have been presented before. So like I really like really weird music. I like really like weird movies from time to time, unless they're just like too weird, and I'm just like, okay, let's calm down here. But like, I literally have never like experienced like this medium like this, and I want more of it. I just want more stories told like this, and I don't know if there is any out there.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I appreciated as well, and I think it's funny because you mentioned about, you know, movies and them being weird. I think something that like really stuck with me, I think this was towards the beginning when they're talking about the football podcast and about how to discuss bad football, and they were talking about the football game that was set up to where it was really weird, and they were arguing about whether they liked it or not, and one of them was arguing that if it's too weird without like the justification for it, like if it's just weird for the sake of being weird, then it's, you know, he's not going to enjoy it. And the other person was arguing like the opposite. And so, I don't know, when you said that kind of reminded me. And I feel the same way with things like that. And I agree with that. I don't even remember their names, but the guys from that podcast, they were talking about, you know, weirdness. And I think I feel the same way with, if it's too weird just to be weird, I'm probably not going to like it. And this is definitely a weird format, but I think it works. And I think we've kind of already touched base on why it works. And I think one of my favorite things about this is like the way the satellites talk, like especially in like the videos, like they're typing almost. And like there's always like every now and then like a couple of typos and stuff like that. And I think it just, to me, it makes them feel, even though they're satellites, it makes them feel really human. Because I know like sometimes, and you'll definitely notice it throughout this podcast, I'll like stutter on my words, or like I'll miss, like I might have misspoke sometimes or something already. And that to me kind of played into that, to where it made it feel human. Because like, you know, sometimes our brains think too fast for our mouths to keep up. And so I felt like, I don't know, at least to me, it didn't feel like typos. It just felt like they were more human, like they were making human errors just like we do.
I hadn't even thought about it like that. It's a good way to think about it.
Hell yeah.
They're real people.
I do have to say, if I'm going to critique,
Okay, do it. Yes.
I feel like, given the format and how invested you have to be, I feel like there are areas that could have been. I feel like it could have been shorter because I found myself at one point kind of reading through, and it was definitely in the latter half of reading it where I was saying to myself, okay, I get it. I get the message, but now you're focusing on this message a little too much. Like it's time to move on to something else. And I think the height, if I remember correctly, was actually when I want to say it was maybe the cave. But
Yeah.
as I think about that, I'm pretty sure that then it does move on because they start to introduce kind of the bigger ideas. It might have happened twice. It for sure happened kind of when they were discussing football again, and it seemed like they were kind of hitting the same notes again of, well, they're playing football and it's really long, and you know it. I don't know. I don't think that at all hurt it didn't hurt the messaging, but I definitely think it started to tarry to where you're kind of like, what's the point now? But I guess that's also kind of
The point of the
interesting part about this is that it's branded about football, but at least in my mind, for the most part, the football sections are the most uninteresting because it gets into that, what Jose was just saying about if it's so weird that it's like, if you double down on how weird it is, you're not as into it. And I was like, it's such a weird, dumb concept that it's, at least in my mind, is unbelievable. Like, actually unbelievable that no one would really do that. Even, I feel like even with immortality, it'd be like you're going to run across country. But also there was aspects of it that were kind of left unclear, like tackling and how all the rules work. And I remember at some point they said, I think it was when the husband, I think his name was Ethan, was in New York, and he was saying how Jason, how he had an idea for a new game with the boats, and his wife asked, "So how do you tackle?" And he was like, "I guess you just ram the boat into another one." And it's like so unfathomable that it's kind of like you just discount it to where you're not even giving that as much attention as you find yourself going, okay, I don't care about the football part. Get back to like the probes that are just floating in space.
I get that.
Yeah, that's definitely valid.
Which I feel like is also the point of he's kind of pointing out. I feel like one message in there, which we've kind of touched on, was like even sports are like sports are great and it's good to enjoy sports, but then you get into the fandom of sports and you see things like, you know, Alabama Auburn rivalries where trees get poisoned and, you know, other just how many times have we seen like fights at Michigan, Ohio games and just anything. So his point being sports bring us together and they like help us to be distracted from the things that we have to struggle with life as it is. But there's a line that can be crossed to where you've gone too far.
It's excessive.
Yeah. And it's like, I think it's back to that slide, the weird slide that's read out of order, where I think the last line is that instead of looking up, they decided to look down and see what mattered. And I feel like that was kind of the tying line between everything he was trying to say is like, all this is good, all this is fine, but make sure that you look at what really matters at the end of the day. And does throwing a football and like being invested in other people that are throwing footballs, if that's taking more precedence and causing you to like physically assault someone else, then you need to, rethink a lot of things.
True.
Fandom is toxic. Get rid of it.
I know, sucks. Sports are bad. Let's just stop. Let's just stop having sports,
We've already been doing that, man.
dude.
We need a true, a
Yeah.
true gentleman's game.
Oh my god.
Like Rainbow Six Siege.
Oh
Like
my
Wii
God.
Sports.
Like
Wii Sports.
Oh my
Wii Sports
God.
boxing.
Except that one dude, that one me that
I know.
everyone
I know.
hates.
Yeah.
Is it Matt?
I think it
I
is.
don't remember his name.
think his
yeah,
name's
probably.
I
Is
feel
the
like you're
bald?
right.
Yeah.
Is he the bald black guy?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
With the
I
goatee.
think it's Matt.
Yeah.
Pablo
With the goatee.
Sanchez of Wii Sports. Dude, I kind of want to tell the story, Logan, of the other, like, it was like beginning of quarantine when we tried to set the
Oh,
Wii
yeah.
up and fucking but I guess before we like transition to that, actually I just want to give a quick shout out if you're reading it, if you read 1776 at home and you enjoy it. I got a
17,776.
yes, 17776.
If you read big number.
Wait, she said 8 billion?
True.
Can we talk about that real quick?
What
Oh.
about it?
What was there a point to that? I
Oh,
didn't
she
really
so.
get that.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
they did that before.
It's just more of
also.
a humanizing. It's a
Okay.
more of a. I like interpret it to be as like one of those things that like Jose was talking about with like the with the typos and stuff. Like she probably just misspoke. I actually didn't even realize. I thought she said 8 billion from the start because
That's
that just
true.
like that number logically made sense. There's like 7 billion people on Earth right now ish, right? And so I was like, yeah, she said 8 billion, and then it like showed the chat log back again, and I was like, wait, she said 8 million. What the fuck? I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of little, just kind of like Dar's talking about, just little one-off, little things that he throws in there that are really funny, and I enjoy. But if you enjoy novels, I guess virtual novels by Jon Bois, he does have another one called The Tim Tebow CFL Chronicles. I haven't read it. It's a little bit older, but it's the same kind of format as 17776. So that looks good. Take a watch at like Logan talked about, the Seattle Mariners 6-part documentary. Fantastic. Also, The Bob Emergency is another fantastic series,
Yes.
which I also forced Logan to watch.
I saw a recommended video where he made a ranking of like college football mascots by weight, and that looked very interesting.
That's a good one. It's a very short one. I'm not a,
Yeah, it's a
huge
short
fan
one,
of
I
that
know,
one, but
really, oh okay.
anything
the
he makes
concept
is
sounds
good.
funny to me.
you gotta check it out. Check it out.
Yeah, Jon Bois, please follow us on Twitter.
Yeah.
Please respond to me, please.
Thanks, Jon Boy.
Okay. But let's see. As we were talking about Wii Sports
Yeah.
a minute ago, so how did this all happen, Logan? I honestly don't remember how this.
We were just like super bored, and was this when the internet was down?
Yes, it was.
Oh, no.
We didn't have internet at the time.
It had to
Oh my
be, 'cause
gosh!
why
So
else
we're
would you
in
wanna play Wii
quarantine,
Sports?
no internet, just like what are we gonna do?
The perfect storm.
Yeah, exactly. And so I remember like, I've got my Wii. We can play Wii Sports. And so like going around like grabbing all the stuff to get the Wii hooked up, and our other roommate's TV has been broken for what, like 4 months now? 4 or
No,
5
it
months?
wasn't. I don't think it was broken at the time. We didn't have the.
No, it was.
It was?
Yeah, it was because we were gonna have to get my TV from upstairs and bring it down.
No, we can use that TV because we didn't have the. Oh wait, no, you're right. You're right. You're right.
His
You're
TV
right,
was
you're right.
broken.
Yeah.
So we're going around the house like trying to scrounge up batteries for the remotes and everything, and then like we get everything put together, we grab my TV from off the wall, bring it downstairs, and like try to plug it in, but it doesn't have the right like ports on it, so we couldn't do it. So it was sad.
No, actually, no. And we actually didn't find enough batteries to even like get it started in the first place.
Really?
Like we literally had like all of like Logan's fucking Wii shit and like this TV like kind of spread out in our fucking front room. If y'all have been to our house, and it was just I don't know. It just reminded me of that, and that was it was funnier if you were there.
There was an attempt. Yeah.
You're
There
gonna
were
tell
many
it.
attempts.
How are you gonna tell an "It's funnier if you were there" story on the podcast?
You just had to be there, bro.
That night was a podcast.
So it's like saying you didn't go to Hags.
Hey, you didn't go to Hags? Man.
Oh shit.
What about you, Jason? We didn't catch up with you last week. What have you been up to?
I bought a
Animal
car.
Crossing. Did buy a car.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Another buying car segment of the podcast.
Oh,
Well,
no.
we already talked about his buying car experience on the last
How, do
one.
you,
Oh,
how
that's
did y'all
right.
talk about my car buying experience when I wasn't even? I mean, I guess I talked about it. So
We briefly mentioned it, and then it led to other. You should listen
damn.
to the podcast
I
if you're
should
not
have.
on.
I
listen
should
to
have.
the
I should have
podcast
been here.
again.
I was tired last week. Though. I was so fucking tired because of car
you were
buying
dead.
shit.
Yeah.
I guess long story short, recap, whatever. I just had like a couple of mediocre experiences, which the car dealerships. But then one was like really bad at one specific dealership whose location I will withhold. But basically, I guess making it as brief as possible. The whole process was like all right, but there were like little things here and there where I was like, this kind of off. Like when he told me how much he would offer me for my trade-in, I was like, it's kind of a low amount. One really awkward moment when we were I told him I wanted to test drive by myself, so I gave him my insurance, and then dude just like sits in the car with me, and I'm just like, that's not what we agreed on, but okay. So I just rolled with it. And then while we were going, he was like using a bunch of terminology to like refer to me as a friend. So he was like, oh yeah, turn this way, friend, or whatever, buddy, or whatever. And at one point he said, all right, you're gonna make a left here, brother. And he was like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. I'm not trying to be
Oh my god.
I like how it would have been fine until he like brought it up.
It was so like he said it and it didn't even register in my mind, and then he like caught himself, quote unquote, and it was the awkwardest experience of my life, dude. And then
I'm assuming he was
proceeded-
white.
What?
I'm assuming he was white.
Yeah, he was like probably like in his late 50s, white dude.
Jesus.
It was really awkward, and then it all kind of culminated in them trying to make me pay a bunch of extra money for work that they needed to do on the car that had nothing to do with me, kind of. And I got mad, and they tried to hold my keys from me, and I got mad at them again, and I finally left and didn't buy their car. It was great.
Yeah.
King shit.
You're
Honestly.
We stand.
You should have crashed the car, brother.
The night you drove along.
no. But now we're cool. We're chilling. I have AC again. I can actually shift my car out of park, so that's pretty cool. Because I couldn't do that.
That's helpful
I couldn't do that in the
to
hot
drive, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
what's
a
with
little
everyone's cars just being undrivable?
bit. The apocalypse starts and everyone can't move.
Well, now you
Make
don't
sure
need
that
to.
you are
There's-
driving your cars, even though it's a quarantine.
Yeah, take them out for a spin every once in a while.
Yeah, you gotta go to Whataburger every now and then.
True.
Let's get DoorDash.
Bro, I've been
dude.
having Whataburger too damn much.
I'm
God.
not gonna get DoorDash when Whataburger is literally a 1-minute drive from my house.
Also that too.
I'm not paying for that. Also, sometimes I have to go to the store. Although now that my mom can walk again, she and my dad usually go because I work.
It's time to go to the stove.
Have y'all seen any crazy looking people at any stores?
Bro, I was just
Yeah,
telling
I see all these people without masks on.
I
Oh,
know
crazy.
why.
That shit's crazy. Well, at my job, the store I work at, we're requiring masks for people, and because I don't know what it is right now, but like the county that it's in, was at some point doing like required masks, and then I think the county stopped, but then like at a corporate level, our company was like, yeah, all of our stores have to have masks required. And these
Right.
two dudes came in the other day, and one of them was in a plague doctor mask, and the other one was
Oh my God.
in a predator mask,
Oh my
like from the movie Predator.
God.
Fucking incels.
And like the only requirements, the only requirements are like it has to cover your like nose and mouth, and like you can't like it can't let any particulates through. And I guess it technically did meet those requirements. So, I mean, what were we gonna do? Tell them to take them off? It would have just been more of a problem anyway. But yeah, it was funny, but also
like,
if-
bruh.
yeah, I don't know. It like to me it feels like those type of people aren't taking it seriously, but then it's not like they're not doing it, you know? So I don't know. I didn't know how to react to it. I just kind of laughed it off and was like, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
It's their
now it's like-
coping. Sorry.
Yeah. Now's the perfect time to rob your store, I think.
Wait.
Oh my God.
You hear that, guys? Get on.
Everyone's gonna stay away from you,
Yeah.
and you're wearing a mask, so you're good.
True.
Dude. The people who freaking wear like I pretend that I run now. I really just kind of walk/run around the neighborhood a little bit after work each day. And the people who wear masks when they're running are fucking crazy. I don't know how. I don't know why.
Especially,
first of all,
it's so hot.
yeah,
like-
and they're just like, yeah, I'm
I
wearing
guess like
all black
the
black
potential
mask
of them.
sprinting.
Yeah, I guess like the potential of them like running into somebody like on the sidewalk, but then at that point it's just like move into the street.
Yeah, like I haven't come across a single person while I'm going around the neighborhood who hasn't swapped to a different side of the road when
Yeah.
they're about to like pass by anybody. Like I have yet to walk by a single person on the sidewalk because everybody crosses over. So why are you wearing a mask outside? There's not even enough people on the sidewalk. Like it's outside. You're gonna
I don't know.
die.
It's their prerogative
I mean, yeah, they can do
at
it
that
but-
point.
But if they pass out, I mean, I'm not gonna touch them to help.
It would be one thing if they wear masks to running, but then not to the grocery store. Then I
This
would be
is
like,
true.
hey, come on, fella.
Hey, clown.
This type of shit is what I'll edit out. All that dead air that we just had.
I'll be honest. I thought that my internet or my headset was wigging out because I kind of heard like an electrical feedback, and I thought that's probably someone talking, and my internet is
Oh
crapping
man,
itself,
this
so
storm
I
is
can't hear them at the
crazy.
moment. Is it storming right now?
Fucking static shock.
There's like a storm warning up here.
Yeah, I
it's
saw.
supposed to be. Whoa,
saw
it's
some
supposed to
lightning
rain for
earlier.
the next like 7 days.
Yeah, dude, I saw that shit. It
No.
was wild.
Thank goodness.
I hope so, dude. I love sitting in my little office with the rain just going.
Let the rain
Why am I getting an
fall
ad
down.
for senior living on my weather app? Okay. Sorry.
Guess we were just talking about
Because you're
death.
old, bro.
Damn.
Do be kind of feeling old. Not really. Not at all.
Yeah, I don't feel old.
I started Waco tonight.
Oh yeah.
Netflix.
Oh yeah,
That's
I
not.
watched
featuring
what?
featuring
It's not a documentary, right?
No, it's a-
okay.
Biopic, I guess.
Wait.
Yeah.
I don't know how much is factual, but it's got Taylor Kitsch, who was kind of big in the 2000s. He played John Carter, and he was Gambit
Oh,
in X-Men Origins Wolverine. But and it also has Michael Shannon, and I don't know how to say his last name. John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo. Yeah.
John
all in it.
Luigi?
I watched 3 episodes out of 6, and it's pretty intense so far. But it's pretty good.
Does that have anything to do with the city Waco?
It's
It
the
takes
Ranch
place there.
Davidians,
Yeah.
and Mr.
Yeah, I mean, rural Waco.
Oh.
Mr. David
Most
Koresh,
of Waco
right?
is rural Waco.
Yeah, David Koresh.
David Koresh.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of, okay, well, I don't know how well that translates. Speaking of rural, my parents started watching Westworld. Like I said, I don't know how this translates, but and they're
I
like
get the
getting
connection.
super into it. But like, I really only watch things with them while I'm eating, and then I just come back upstairs because I don't actually feel like sitting around for hours watching stuff with my parents. And all I know is every single time I go downstairs to eat, there's a naked woman on screen, just every single time.
Goddamn right there is.
So
It's an HBO show.
Yeah, it's so fucking unfortunate, dude. I go downstairs, I'm like, oh shit, spaghetti? Oh shit,
Spaghetti and meatballs.
This would be great if my parents weren't on the next couch.
It's a bit of a slow burn show.
Yeah, it seems
At least I
interesting.
thought.
The beginning, I was like, I have no clue what's going on, but I've kind of pieced things together from the 1 hour total that I've seen out of the dozens of episodes they've watched.
Yeah.
Seems interesting.
Maybe if I get HBO Max, I'll watch it.
3 days. 3 days. Wait, I thought
is it?
I thought you said it came out on the 25th, Jose.
It came out on Wednesday. Is Wednesday the 25th?
So the 27th.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, it's the
Shit.
22nd.
that's cool.
So
Oh,
5
wait,
days.
it's the 20. Yo.
No, Jason, it's whatever day this episode gets released.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I'm dating the episode.
Oh no. Dating the episode of our
There's
weekly
only one good
podcast.
show to watch on HBO Max. The
Doom
Big
Patrol?
Bang Theory.
Or
Oh my god.
I was like, is Nick gonna say Doom Patrol?
Doom
or
Patrol is very
Swamp
good.
Thing?
I highly recommend. I don't know if Swamp Thing's on there.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be all the DC stuff.
I don't know.
You don't know.
I mean, Swamp Thing isn't renewed.
Oh,
I cried,
well,
but
rip.
Sorry,
it might
King.
be. Oh, you know what? There was something recently that apparently, I think the CW actually bought the like rights to Swamp Thing, so there might be a CW
Oh.
Swamp Thing show.
So they'll ruin it.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. So they'll make a romantic comedy
For preteens.
drama, garbage. They'll put him in a plastic suit, and I'll lose interest.
They'll
So
do a Riverdale crossover.
Oh my god.
I do want to watch the last CW crossover. Apparently, the crossover is pretty good.
Hmm.
Damn. I don't know.
But-
I never got into those CW shows. I never watched any of the Netflix Marvel shows. Still to this day.
Oh, dude,
Dude.
same.
God,
Daredevil
you
is
haven't
so
watched
good.
Marvel
At this
things?
point, it's
How
like,
dare
why
you?
should I?
You don't have to watch all of them.
this
There's only 3 good ones. 4.
What do you consider to be the 3 good ones?
Daredevil,
Mm.
Punisher, Jessica Jones, which is really the first season,
Yeah.
and Defenders.
Okay.
Defender, Punisher. I hardly know her.
Okay.
I felt it in my
All right,
bones,
that's a
and
wrap.
I just-
Iron Fist is not good. Just
if any
hard stop.
listeners made it this far, this is where they stop listening.
Our retention just went
Yeah.
plummeted.
that should just be our cold open next time, so they don't even listen to that episode either.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
you got us.
Yeah.
Tyler,
Yeah.
I know, because this is the only piece of streaming media that I can really contribute on whatsoever. But I just started the 5th season of Black Mirror, and
Hey.
I know you were telling Logan about the first episode. I forgot what it was
Yes. Striking Vipers.
called. Striking Vipers.
Oh
Yes.
fuck!
I've
I've
seen
heard
it.
about this one. I haven't even seen the show, and I know about this episode.
I've at least
Fuck.
seen season 5 of Black Mirror.
You know what? Maybe.
We should not.
No. I was gonna say I'm gonna make y'all watch that for my homework.
Oh, Lord.
Oh,
Dude, it's so good. It's so good.
wait, is this
No.
who's? Fuck. Okay, how's the rotation going, or is it something?
Oh,
should not
it's
be asking about?
we're continuing. So Logan's this week, and then you're next week.
Oh fuck.
Yep.
Is the criteria different? I should have listened to last week's episode where this is probably all explained.
Any piece of media you want us to check out, we'll check
Not-
it out.
Not even just that. If you want us to like talk about like a topic, even like I don't know if I gave the example on or off the podcast last time, but let's say someone wants to talk about our rankings of each track to every Kendrick album, right? They can make that the homework.
Oh,
like go home and rank them, and we'll talk about them next week. So that's like kind of the idea.
You caught Jared's interest.
I know. Jared's listening to this. He's muted, or he may or may not actually be listening, but he might got excited just now.
If you want
Maybe
us
he'll
to
show
write,
up next week.
if you want us to write an essay over 16th century imperialism in India, I'm writing that shit, dude.
No,
I'll do it. I'm dedicated.
Please no. I'm gonna make everybody bring an old essay from high school in and read it.
Oh no!
Oh my god! I would say though, I have a philosophy paper from sophomore year of college that I'm still proud of, and I'll talk about that shit on the podcast.
I have a 5,000. I have a 5,000 word essay from high school I could bring.
Jeez. I have like some of my later stuff that I wrote in college. I'm not super like ashamed of. There's one that I don't know. I kind of want to like make a video over it, but no one would watch it. So
I would watch it.
What's it about? Like just
it's about One Punch Man and like, but it's literally like stuff that like everyone's already said before. So I probably won't actually do it, but just like, I don't know. Like, cause I had to talk about postmodernism, and I could pick any show or movie, and I picked One Punch Man, and I thought it was a very good paper.
yeah. I mean,
what grade you get on it?
Bro, that class was so stupid. Jose and Nick know they took this class also, and Jose experienced this as well. But I think Nick said he actually like got some like A's in it, but I'm convinced that like the TAs in this class just look at a paper, and if it meets all the criteria and it's not complete garbage, they just give you a B.
What class
because
was
It's the default grade.
that was film analysis.
Film analysis?
Yes. The
God, I
one
hated that class.
Yeah.
that's so
I didn't mind it too much.
They
But-
just
but
fuck
yeah,
your
but-
GPA for no reason.
like-
Then
I mean, I think I ended up getting a B in the class, which like probably helped my GPA at that point. But
I feel like that was a different class because I think my paper was over Alien, but I
Really?
guess that would have been the only. Yeah, it was over.
because
What was it over? Oh, whether Alien was.
good.
Like what genre? Like is it a genre?
Yeah, I think it was what genre it is. I think,
Oh,
or
okay,
I talked
okay.
about how it evolved as a
A
genre
piece.
from
Yeah,
horror
yeah,
to
yeah.
just pure sci-fi.
Right. That was the
Something like
first
that.
paper, and I wrote about what did I? Oh no, I did the auteur paper for the first one, and I wrote about David
Yeah.
Fincher because
Why not?
Wait,
yeah.
maybe my Alien paper was a different class because I did the auteur paper as well over
Oh, really?
over Wes Anderson.
Oh
Because that was the one where they gave you a bank of movies, right?
no. Well, at least they
'Cause
didn't
I
give
did
us
mine
a
over
bank of
Moonrise
movies.
Kingdom.
They
I remember
they gave
that.
us a bank of directors.
Maybe
For
they
the
did differently
auteur
for your
one,
class.
and then yeah,
Jose,
it was
didn't
like
didn't they give us movies?
I think so because I also did mine over Moonrise Kingdom and Wes Anderson.
oh then, maybe it was different.
Looks
Either
like
way,
Tyler
what I was
doesn't do
trying to get at was that on my first paper, I did it like really rushed. I like much like this podcast, I waited until the very last day to do the homework. And so I like it was like super rushed, and I didn't like the paper at all, but I was like, I just whatever, I had to turn it in, and I got a B. And I was like, all right, this is probably like a C paper, but I'll take the B, of course. And then the One Punch Man paper was for the same class later in the semester, and there was 2 TAs, and this was the other TA grading it. So maybe that affected it, but I took longer to write it, and I planned it out better, and it was a better paper in my opinion, and I got 2 points lower than my first essay.
Maybe they just don't like anime.
That's what you get for trying.
Maybe.
You got the weave deduction.
The weave deduction.
But that
It's
was the
weeb
whole
tax.
point of the paper is
weeb
that it's an
tax.
anime, but it's also anti-anime tropes. Come on, guys.
Dude,
You think they give a shit about that?
you think
Nah,
TAs
I
give a shit
mean-
about anything?
No, they probably don't. They probably
Except for
don't
the
read.
ones who are like insanely overly passionate about whatever class they're TAing for.
Yeah.
Those like study sessions that they put on.
Yeah.
There haven't been anyone at the
nerds.
study sessions. You know, they're free. They're
I
included
go
in your
so
tuition.
hard. I work 40 hours a week. I bust my ass,
My girlfriend broke up with me so I can plan these things.
and I still made you flashcards while I cried in the shower. People are fucking crazy.
And
dude.
you
I don't-
still cheated with the Quizlet.
Have y'all seen all the professors and teachers and stuff? Like people are like posting emails that they've been getting from their professors about them
God.
being upset about cheating because everyone's doing schoolwork at home now. That's so funny to me.
controversial opinion.
Uh-huh.
Who cares if people cheat because it only affects them?
If you really care about people cheating, then like literally there's ways to, if not completely prevent it, make it much harder. Like
Yeah.
just do the lockdown browser or whatever. Like
Some of these things are like very Big Brother in the way they try to stop you from cheating.
Oh,
where
yeah,
they're like, yeah, now
no.
put your phone camera behind you so we can see
Yeah,
everything in your
yeah.
room, and then record yourself. And,
Yeah. I
Like,
saw one
I-
that they had to like record their desk before they started, and I'm like,
calm the fuck down. It's
if 99% of the people that I go to school with don't have access to my room, then just because that I'm at home doesn't mean that you need the extra access now.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
took
I
a
don't
class where they use your webcam, like it just spied on you the entire time while you're doing your test.
No fucking
I'm just
no.
like,
Creepy.
I don't know.
I
but all,
actually knew a friend who like basically they paid someone to help them like take exams for like an online class like that. And what they did is like they would have like their webcam on their laptop set up in front of them, set like, you know, it looked like, you know, there was no one behind them. You couldn't see any like cheating in front of them. But then they like plugged in a monitor to their laptop and had it like running like behind the laptop to where like it was out of view of the webcam. And then someone else was like actually doing the work and then just like holding it up like right behind the laptop so that it wouldn't look suspicious. It looked like they were just like
That's
looking at the screen. And so they
really
like got
funny.
around that. Yeah. So there's
That's
ways
so
around everything.
extra, dude. At that point, you may as well just learn.
Nah.
I mean, if someone
That's
just
what I
already
was
knows it.
just thinking of, like, how far are people going just to cheat? Like, at that point, I would say I would just take the 0.
Yeah, I feel like,
Like, if I really have to
Yeah.
work, if you didn't put in the work in the first place, why wouldn't you work? Why would you work as hard just to cheat on it?
I think that's why it's like a big gray line between like, it's like a gray area between cheating on like in-person exams and then like online stuff. Because with most online classes, at least online classes that I took, quote unquote cheating was literally just, all right, I took these quizzes for this class before. The test is the exact same questions, and I have the answers to the quizzes because you provided them to me after I finished the quizzes. That's my quote unquote cheating or whatever. But then when you cheat like in person, it's a little different. It's like there's a lot more that would go into that if you did it. And I'm like, I don't give a shit if people do it because I'm not nobody's fucking boss. Like, I don't care if other people cheat because it doesn't affect me. But I can see why that's a little more frowned upon because it's a little more. You got to do so much more work to get away with that to a point where it's like it almost isn't worth it at that point.
yeah.
But also like,
It just sucks when they get
whatever.
into situations where, like, those schools that have caught people cheating and then they just invalidate the entire test and then everyone
Yeah.
has to like suffer because of it.
Yeah.
Like, not just failed the guy who was caught cheating. He ran the risk, so now he takes the consequence. Like, that's, but you know, that's too easy. Clown mode. It's because the professors
I
don't want to
think-
make
I
a
think
second
it's-
test.
I think it's because like also like they like they like suspect cheating, but there's no way for them to prove it. Like especially right now, if they don't do like, well, even if they do like the webcam shit, like obviously there's ways to get around it, and so it's like,
Yeah.
it's like what are they gonna do about it?
That's why-
Like the answer like probably should be that they should just like let it go. Like it's fucking like, I don't know it.
Especially
I don't
like
wanna-
if it's like high school.
Oh, yeah.
level.
Especially that.
It's like, who cares?
Like, it's not. You're literally.
99% of what you're learning is not even going to be applicable in like
Yeah.
your first year of college.
Yeah.
College, I get a little more, but it also kind of like if you're cheating on a media arts exam, then my God, good luck to you.
But see, at
But
that point, it
I
only affects
understand
you.
some things like if you're cheating on a law, well, I don't know. Some people would say that maybe you're a genius for that one, but then you're Jeff Winger.
Yeah,
And
true.
then when you try
Yeah.
to support a killer in court, you just get him sentenced for even longer than he was supposed to be. See, it's a win-win. Let people cheat.
Please don't cheat. Be a moral person.
Yeah, I definitely
Right.
do not cheat.
You're
I've
only
never cheated.
cheating yourself.
Yes.
Bars, dude.
Damn, dude.
There you go.
Wow, I know.
If only our
How many
teacher
video
right.
games have you
said that.
downloaded off the internet?
How much RAM?
For free? None.
You wouldn't steal a car.
Wait, that's not the saying.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
those
he's talking about
pirating
pirating
thing.
movies. Yeah,
You wouldn't steal a
download
car. You wouldn't steal
You
a
wouldn't
purse.
steal someone's purse.
that's a funny thing.
you steal a movie?
I feel like pirating movies, like, well, no one buys physical like media anyway now, but like because we have such easy access to movies and shit, I'm sure like no one pirates movies that much anymore.
Oh no.
It's so much
Yeah.
harder to, I feel like, pirate things like that anyway, because those are the types of things that get caught, and like your ISP will
Yeah.
actually send you shit and be like, "Hey, don't
Plus,
do
there's
that."
all those websites like 123 movies where it just like streams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why
So you
wouldn't you
just,
just
like,
do that?
Do that.
Yeah.
And plus, like renting movies now is so much easier. Like you go to YouTube, you can rent any movie on the planet for like $3. Like
Yeah.
at that point, it's like that's way cheaper than having like before like go to the store and buy like a $20 Blu-ray or some shit. Like
I will
Go to
say
Blockbuster.
it's somewhat frustrating that there's not a consistency in that though, because like there was a movie that I wanted to watch recently, and I knew that it had released digitally, but
Mhm.
they only released it for purchase. They didn't release it for
oh, that's lame.
It's kind of
rent,
that
and it was
sucks.
$20, and it's like
Ooh.
it was an animated movie, which, I mean, I'm not gonna get into that argument now.
Wait, what
but-
movie was it?
It was it was a DC animated movie.
Oh, okay, that was gonna be
It's
some
called
weep shit.
no, it's called Justice League Dark Apocalypse War.
That's gritty.
But it's like $20, and it's like an hour and a half movie. And
no.
for the most part, I'm not gonna pay money for an hour and a half movie. I just don't really do that. So I was like, well, that's disappointing. And I also it also goes into like streaming services where I guess it's mainly just the DC one right now, but like they do a digital release, but then they have to wait 90 days to like put it on their streaming service, and I'm like, what's the
Right.
point of having a digital streaming service if you're not going to put things on it when they're available to stream digitally? Like, isn't the point that I'm paying for kind of that premium product? I guess not.
Especially right now, because like, where the fuck else you gonna watch it?
Yeah. Family video.
Get your CBD
Boy.
there too.
You think I'm gonna touch videos other people had their grubby hands on?
Yeah, that's I didn't stop getting physical media because it just became dead. I stopped because every time I went to get it, some idiot had scratched the thing to where you can't even watch it, and you have to go back to the store and say it doesn't work.
True.
I can't watch my shows.
And they say you scratched it.
No, I never had that. But
And that's when you say,
that's why I usually went to the library, because my library has a lot of DVDs,
"Oh
and
shit, true."
they usually would sometimes have new stuff, and for the most part, it was taken care of, which is pretty ironic given how many kids run around there screaming.
Dirty little creatures.
Loudest library I've ever been in.
I almost said which one, but then I was like, maybe we
Yeah,
leave that out.
coordinates, longitude.
Sure, let me just find my iPhone location on fucking, just pull it up full screen on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna blow it up right now.
Bam. I don't even have an
Yeah.
iPhone. Get clown.
Got him.
So
It's
Logan,
into the ocean.
What's
what
up?
do you have for us next
Logan.
week?
Tell us.
So
Tell me what it is, baby.
No.
there's an artist that I've been listening to for a while. His name is Moses Sumney. I was tossing back and forth between a couple albums of his that I wanted to show you guys. He had a previous album called Aromanticism. That was the first album that I encountered of his that really like brought my attention to him.
Mhm.
But the other day, as soon as I was thinking like, you know what, I think I'll bring this album, he dropped a new album. And so I was like tossing up. I was like, do I want to bring the old one? Do I want to bring the new one? And so I have settled on the new album. So the album that I want you guys to listen to is called Gray. That's Grae by Moses Sumney. It's sort of like it's a very like melancholy, but interesting listen.
It's got a butt on the cover.
It does have a butt on the cover. He's got a dump truck, bro.
I don't know what
He's got a
melancholy
dump truck
means.
ass.
I
Huh?
don't know what melancholy means.
Like
Melancholy?
Bad.
Yeah, it's
Somber.
like
Okay,
Like-
thank you.
it's kind of
It's like when you say big
It's-
cry.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I get it now.
honestly,
Now
that's
I
how I
get it.
felt at the end of 17776.
Wait.
That was kind of melancholy.
Wait, you said it's
Damn.
so it's gray. There's another one though, like Gray Part 1, but I assume it's just,
It's a double album.
so I just listen to the one that's just gray.
You listen
no?
to
Because the one that
The one
only
that-
is titled Gray is an hour and 5 minutes, but then there's like Gray Part 1, which is
And it's
only like 38.
36.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just the first half.
So just listen
It's
to
just
the
the
full,
first half.
full Gray. We're all
The
gray here.
full hour and 5 minutes.
Damn,
full
you
hour.
guys know
Double
a lot.
album?
What do you mean, dude? It took like 5 hours to read Steven's shit.
Yeah, I didn't read that.
So this
though.
is
I
you
don't
because
remember.
it reads
Your
slow
next
as
gen,
shit.
I guess.
Took me like 3.
Damn.
Whatever. Yeah, but it's like very I honestly
listen
don't really
to
even
it.
know how to
Don't
describe
even
it.
describe
Yeah,
it.
it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
y'all
Dude,
just y'all
We'll figure it
listen
out.
Does
to
all
it,
the talking.
enjoy it. I'm
This album is ass.
I'm very interested to see what y'all's opinion on it will be, because it's not very much like a lot that generally I would listen to, or I feel like most of y'all would listen to either. But it's something that kind of struck a chord with me within the past couple days, so I wanted to bring it to you guys.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 2 songs on here. On the first part of the album are both also names of Nirvana songs, and if they're not Nirvana covers, I'm gonna be upset.
I can guarantee you they're not Nirvana
I'm gonna
covers.
assume they're not Nirvana covers.
Damn.
Yeah.
And don't forget to
So,
listen along at home.
All right.
Yeah.
Never say that
Listen
again.
along at home. Comment on the video what you thought of 1776 and
1776.
70, 60, 67.
I think that movie box thing that I'm not gonna
Interact
spoil.
with the yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let us know what
that's-
you thought about Steven stuff, and then whenever we talk about the album next week. Let us know what you think about that one too.
I'm gonna take all the comments very personally, so make sure you direct them at me.
Yeah, so somebody
Every
tell
single
Edward to be
comment.
nice.
Someone tell Jon Bois to listen to our thoughts. We should all tweet at Jon Bois.
Who is
Please.
Yeah.
boy?
Jon Bois is the author of the.
Of the
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one.
Jon Boy. All right, cut that out.
I was just gonna cut you out entirely. Yeah,
My
because of
longest
that.
Jon Boy
Yeah,
ever.
Jose, just don't send in your audio this week.
John.
All
So are
right.
we done?
See you later, guys.
Pretend to listen to
Bye.
Hooligans album. See you guys next week.
Bye. I love you.
Kisses.